name is Sara Monacchi and I'm a product and service designer.
Hi, my name is Saitej Pisupati. I'm a service designer, a mechanical engineer and a photographer. For the last 2 months, we have done a project around city and urban planning.
We worked in collaboration with UKAA, the organization for the UK built rent sector, and their challenge for us was to imagine the high street as both a retail and a residential space.
High streets have always been the center of attention, but for the past few decades, there has been a change in the consumer behavior, which caused the business to move online and leave behind empty buildings.
From the beginning, we realized the complexity of this project because the high street is composed of a lot of elements. We have buildings, shops, business owners, transportation, people walking on the street.
Because of the complexity, we started to explore the bigger picture, the city.
Now mind you, we were in complete different countries throughout the whole project.
Can you hear me?
Wait. Yeah, repeat please.
1 second. I'm
I
just
lost
finding
you.
the diagram which me and Nick drew. So, can you see my book?
We found ourselves in lockdown in different periods of time. So while Saitej was in lockdown, I went and visited my own city in Italy, Pordenone, and videotaped all my observations. That is our huge theater. Again, shops, houses. We just came from over there. So this is another view of the whole other high street.
When Sara was in lockdown, I went around different high streets in London. But there were times when both of us couldn't go out. So we traveled a lot of places digitally. Out of those ones, Singapore was special because it taught us how a city can be planned for its future needs by setting a vision for it.
So we started exploring different visions of how London could look like. We created future scenarios by exaggerating certain trends, such as smart working, decentralized power, close communities. We went crazy. But this led us to the realization that if city's vision is set, then we know what sort of high street we need, and the buildings just naturally occur.
But what was our vision? Well, we don't know that yet. We knew from the predictions that businesses were moving online and there were laws in place to convert those empty spaces into homes to solve the housing crisis. This is where we started to reach out to people. We used different ways like social media while also conducting some in-person interviews.
What would you think if they all start to becoming homes?
Homes.
Yeah, homes. Like,
You'd have no shops and just, it's all very well having lots of people, but if there's no shops, where they're going to get anything from? Not that clinicalness of like a Tesco or a sort of a Sainsbury's or something. So I think the small independent shops are very important.
Yeah.
And with this pandemic, you realised how important that corner shop was to you.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot better places you can house people, not in taking up high streets.
Yeah.
The high street is there for everyone.
Yeah.
We kept hearing the same thing, that houses should not be on the high streets because they don't reflect the vibe of the area. At this point, we were confused. What is a vibe? From our understanding, it was about identity. Because by now, we knew that no two high streets were alike.
It was at this point we started to see that some common elements were coming up, which would represent the high street's identity. In other words, the WIP.
We started to divide the city between north, south, east, and west. So after countless table charts, we realized that the position did not matter. Although they appeared different, they all had a degree of action, time, aesthetic, maintenance, and primary needs.
With all this new information, we came up with a plan. Instead of using the double diamond, we experimented our own method, which would help us project our vision.
We started designing individual buildings that would leverage the positive aspects of that area and replace the ones missing. We would then merge each block by choosing the best elements and create one model that would fit all scenarios.
And lastly, projecting it into the future and studying the impact of having such buildings around London. We wanted to find the right formula. For us, it was about creating balance.
Well, we were wrong. We realized our mistake once we started prototyping the main features. What was working for one high street would not work for another, because we realized that the balance was not shaped by the environment, but by its community. Let me give you an example. Let's take two communities. Each is composed by a different group of individuals, usually defined by culture, age, etc. Those groups will create amenities in proportion to their group dimension. Now, by looking at these two, which one would you say is more balanced? The answer is both, because it was shaped by their needs and their vibe.
At that moment, our vision was set. We dreamt of a London where each high street is created by its community, preserving the uniqueness and creating the individual experiences for anybody living in it. For anybody who visits London, their lifetime wouldn't be enough to experience such a diverse London. Such is the London we see. Now, the challenge was to make it happen. We started challenging the typical building model, which would never consider the identity of the high street, but which was important to our vision.
But first, we needed to understand how architects usually design their buildings.
We conducted a workshop with them to understand their design process. We asked them to design a building on a high street, while giving them various challenges to see what they would do.
At the same time, we were also getting creative and started sketching how this new method would work.
Oh, is brought in. Oh, okay.
What is the next question? How does the communication info exchange happen between the property?
Now we bring the property developer in.
Okay. Then here we just say getting to know each other, getting to know UKAA and getting to know the members.
And collect emails or hand out flyers during the fair and say, hey, do you want to be part of it?
And we also interviewed current and past tenants living in similar residential buildings to see what their pain points and needs were. UKAA was also very helpful during this time. We kept meeting up digitally and exchanged information on, for example, what type of limitations we were having and resources that we could leverage on.
The whole process got us to designing the final concept, Native, a citizen-centered urban planning program which connects street's soul to the people's heart.
I really enjoyed working on this project. I learned that everything is connected and our role is not only to create good solutions, but also to think about the consequences that our projects bring to this world. Yes, it was not easy. Saitej and I had our tough times. We had hours of conversations on Zoom, where we challenged each other and designed crazy things, experimented, and in the end had a lot of fun.
Wow, what a learning it has been for the past 2 months. A lot of learnings to look back to. One of the important things that this project has taught me, Sara has taught me, was that to write down my ideas or thoughts on a piece of paper. Because there were times when she asked me to repeat what I just said, and most of the times I did forget. So, as the project developed, I used to write down my ideas and thoughts first on a piece of paper, and then we used to discuss them. This allowed us to keep a track of what we said and also have much more broader conversations on the ideas and thoughts each other was having. The second one was, after big discussions or reading through heavy research, we always provided each other that space for us to think, reflect, and come back. This allowed us to have a better creativity and better support from each other.
Should not be on the high. Their community.
Hi, my name is Saitej. Saitej Pisupati.
And past due to COVID. Very much.
It was at this point